Hi guys, this is my wishlist for the FX3 Mark II. This video is mainly from the point of view of wedding filmmaking and corporate work. The FX3 and the A7S III are, in my opinion, revolutionary milestone cameras. Just like the 5D started the DSLR revolution, I believe these two cameras brought things to a more mature level by delivering amazing image quality, reliability, and being tools that just work. The A7S III came out in 2020 and the FX3 in 2021, and even today they're still worthy competitors to the most modern offerings from other brands. Honestly, just for the low-light performance, I don't think I can switch to another brand until they also can offer a clean native ISO of 12,800. Now, 5 years later, technology from other manufacturers is starting to catch up, and while I'm happy with the FX3, there's some needs that aren't being met in my line of work. So here's my wishlist for the FX3 Mark II. OpenGate. Since the FX3 came out, TikTok has become the fastest growing social media platform, and every other platform is trying to copy it. We now have YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, vertical video is here to stay. I can't remember how many times I filmed a wedding and needed to make Reels, and the shots just didn't work in vertical at all. For corporate work, I often had to film B-roll twice, once in landscape and once in vertical. And so for reframing and also for anamorphic use, Sony, please give us a minimum of 4K 60 10-bit OpenGate. Bigger screen. We need a bigger screen. When I saw the Nikon ZR and its screen size, I was blown away. It was amazing. Out of all camera brands, Sony seems to have the smallest screens. My GH5S had a bigger screen. My 5D Mark IV had a bigger screen. So this really needs to be addressed soon. Honestly, I don't think they're gonna be adding a huge screen like the Nikon, but I think they'll likely add something similar to their current A7 V and A7R6 line. Built-in viewfinder. I would like for the FX3 Mark II to have a similar body to the FX2, with that amazing side viewfinder. For quick run and gun shooting in bright environments, a viewfinder is amazing to have. It's also one of the reasons I still use the A7S so much. When you want to be quick and light without a 3000 nit external monitor, the viewfinder is very useful. Thumbstick placement. I think this is mostly a pet peeve of mine, but I use the thumbstick a lot, either to reset autofocus or move the autofocus box. I honestly can't understand why they placed the thumbstick on the top part of the FX3. The only reason I can think of is waist-level handheld shooting, which is fine for B-roll, but when filming people, I end up shooting chins and nostrils from that height, which isn't ideal. Now, I'm not very hopeful Sony will change this, but for me it's a critical feature. I find myself using the A7S more than the FX3 because of the thumbstick placement. But I'm curious, which one do you prefer? Leave a comment below. Full HDMI feed with AF overlays. We need an HDMI feed with all the eye tracking overlays and focusing information. This is one of the main reasons I think twice about using an external monitor with the FX3 or any Sony mirrorless camera. It either outputs a clean feed or a weird aspect ratio feed with overlays, but then your camera screen turns off and you lose touch control. I mean, come on, Sony. Global shutter. There have been rumors about the FX3 Mark II having a global shutter. The A9 III already has a global shutter, but that comes with a hit to dynamic range. However, now with the A7R6 also using dual gain ISO, I can see this becoming more realistic. A global shutter sensor combined with dual gain that extends dynamic range would be a perfect combo. You really need to use global shutter to understand just how good it feels to not have rolling shutter. For fast-paced movement, it's amazing. I used to own the Blackmagic production camera, which had a global shutter. And the biggest benefit was stabilization in post. Stabilization was much more effective, with fewer jello artifacts and smoother results. I definitely miss that. Triple base ISO. The FX3 definitely needs an in-between ISO. The mid ISOs are quite noisy, and this would make it even more versatile. Especially for run and gun in uncontrolled environments, you often need to go to those in-between ISOs, but this of course would result in noisy footage. Internal and D filters. It would be amazing if they added ND filters just like the FX6. The FX6 has the same sensor and the same E-mount, so it's technically possible to integrate ND filters between them. I'd love it if they made the FX3 slightly bigger and added internal ND filters. If they did, I think it would be revolutionary and a major selling point. Waveform Monitor. I've used Waveform on the GH5S and the Canon C200. You can very quickly get a glimpse of your exposure range and immediately fix it if you need to. Sony should have included this in their cameras a long time ago. My secondary wish list is 6K resolution. I'd love it for it to have 6K. A lot of the time I'm reframing shoots in editing, often around 1.5 zoom, and I can see the loss in quality. 6K would fix this. The next would be internal RAW. Now, internal RAW isn't that important to me, to be honest. I prefer an efficient H.265 codec, but there have been times when I needed it and I had to use my Canon C200 instead. For narrative work and when I want the most cinematic image possible, RAW is amazing. And finally, 32-bit internal audio. Sony has released an XLR adapter that enables 32-bit float audio in cameras moving forward. I think this should be an internal option, especially on cinema cameras. And that's my wish list for the FX3 Mark II. I think we're living in great times where all cameras are excellent and we're mostly nitpicking. Overheating issues are being resolved, autofocus and dynamic range are improving, and all manufacturers are getting closer to the perfect camera. Even if Sony just updated the current FX3 with something like OpenGate 4K 24p, I think it would still keep this camera relevant for many years to come. For the FX3 Mark II, I just hope the updates aren't incremental, but meaningful. Something that makes it a strong offering for the next 5 years. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, please subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.